Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Exciting video here today. I'm going to be installing a lot of E-Viratrue goodies on my hammer right here. I'll get you in here in a minute and show you exactly what I got, but I'm going to be doing their dual front shock conversion. Comes with a little shock tower mount here for dual front shocks, and of course the 7075 aluminum lower arms, also for dual shocks there. Got a aluminum 7075 rear axle, some trailing arms, and then these front C-hub and knuckle assembly. So let me show you guys a close-up of these, and then we'll get right into it. I'm not going to go too crazy showing you the install on all these. A lot of this is pretty straightforward stuff. You're just removing and replacing. But I really want to focus mostly on the dual shock front conversion because I think this truck is really going to benefit from that. I had played around with a little dual shock setup that I made myself for a little while, and it was okay, but there was some clearance issues and it just was a little bit flimsy. So I think having everything here, nice machine 7075 aluminum, is really going to work out great on this. And I'll figure out a good shock setup after that and go from there. But so if you're not familiar with E-Viratrue, I'll link up the website down below, and you could go and check out his page. He makes a lot of upgrades for a lot of different vehicles. Really nice stuff. I mean, it's every bit as nice as Vidavon, in my opinion. In fact, I'm going to be taking off some Vidavon arms and Vidavon links back here to install the E-Viratrue stuff. So I'll give you guys a direct comparison between the two. And yeah, they're just really stand-up guy. Jiwoo really stands behind his products and always looking to make improvements and willing to help out if you have any questions or concerns or issues. So I highly recommend checking them out. Really great company. And yeah, let me show you guys a close-up on these, and then we'll get to the install here. Okay, so this is their front shock tower. Very nice, hard anodized. And then these are the arms. A nice aluminum plate on top, and of course, spot to mount two shocks, and you also have three positions to mount your shocks. Nice heavy-duty pin here for your pivots. Really nice piece. Also hard anodized. Here is the rear axle. Super nice. All right, and then we have the C-hub steering knuckle combo here. Same deal, 7075. Very nice machining. Comes with nice stainless hardware. Rubber seal bearings. Really, really nice stuff. The trailing arms. Same deal, 7075. Multiple shock mounts. Really nice. I'm already running the E-Viratrue bell crank, which I highly, highly recommend for this truck. It corrects a lot of the flaws in the stock steering setup, and it just works so much better. It steers a lot more precise, and it's been holding up great. So highly recommend checking that out. I also wanted to show you guys this. This is from 3D Print Designs. I will link this up down below, but he makes a super nice dual rear tire carrier for the hammer ray. He makes a lot for all of the rays, the Baja rays, the hammer ray. He's making parts for UDRs now, but really nice. This material he's printing with is ultra durable, man. It is incredibly durable. It's more of a flexible rubber, like TPU material. So it's going to hold up to a ton of abuse. It comes with this kind of a really cool faux fuel inlet here, and the straps to hold the tires in. I feel like also the added weight of a second tire plus the added weight of this carrier, it's pretty thick, heavy duty stuff. It makes this, I've driven this once or twice with this already installed. It makes this truck handle so much nicer. It keeps the front end nice and light. It just lets you position it a little bit easier on climbs. It gives you better traction on the rear wheels. And I really, really like this setup, and it looks killer. Right, he makes some excellent products. Check that out. I'll have a couple more reviews on some of his other products for my Baja Ray and my UDR in the near future, but highly recommend checking him out. Corey, another great guy, really stands behind his products. Easy to communicate with, responds to emails if you have any questions, and I really like it. It's a super nice setup. And just for reference, I am already running UDR secondary dampers on the rear of this. So it's going to be very nice to get a dual shock setup on the front, just to match how well the rear suspension works. Just wanted to point these out too. These are functional bump stops that E-Viratrue makes for this truck, and it has a little spring-loaded, hydraulically damped bump stop that when you bottom out, it just gives you that extra little cushion at the very end, so you don't just slam down onto your axle. And they're really cool. They look nice. Check them out. Super cool. So let's do a quick comparison between these Vidavon trailing arms, very well used, and these E-Viratrue trailing arms. So for the most part, machining is about equal on both. What I like with the E-Viratrue, for one thing, they're definitely beefier. You can see how much thicker these are. The other thing is the holes they have on the bottom here allow all the dirt and debris to fall through. I'm sure you guys know that anytime you go to clean your truck, anything with trailing arms that doesn't have a hole like this on the bottom, these things get packed up with dirt. And then the bottom of your shock eyelet here is just riding in this crust of filth down there and starts getting worn out and all kind of beat up. So I really like that design. Just allows the dirt to fall through, and even up here there's a hole on either side. So really just a lot beefier. These are about 35 grams and these weigh 50 grams. So yeah, check out the rear axle housing here. Nice beefy design. I really like how thick these upper link risers are on this design. So I don't have a stock one here handy to compare it to. I'm just comparing it to this aluminum housing I got off AliExpress, which actually held up pretty decent. I did just notice though that these screws actually pulled out of the threads here. It is threaded in deeper, so I could still reuse this just with some longer screws, but yeah, this was loose, and this whole axle was about to pull out, which means the whole wheel would have come off with the axle in it. So glad I'm swapping this out, but I'll switch these internals over. But one thing I found kind of interesting, he includes this plastic third member, which is transparent. I don't know why. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know why you would run that over the aluminum one. Maybe you want to see your gears rotating inside. Not really sure, but I don't know. But anyway, this is a nice, nicely built unit. Some nice beefy rubber seal bearings in here. These are nice and thick too. These lower trailing arm mounts compared to these. Another thing I really like about the E-Viratrue design, on your lower link mounts here and your upper link mounts, he uses this pin type screw. This is an M4 screw, but this whole portion here that supports your link is unthreaded, which means this is an even stronger design than a standard M4. Way stronger than what would typically be here, which would be like an M3 that's threaded with a nut on the back. This is a really nice, strong design. I like that a lot. Don't forget to put a little bit of Loctite on the threads here. And of course, this just threads in this outer thicker portion here. So really nice, strong design on here. I really like that a lot. And then you also end up with less slop in the hollow ball here, because this is a tighter fit without that portion being threaded. So I am running the E-Viratrue bell crank in there. That is a huge upgrade. I would highly recommend that for any of the 10 scale Ray platforms, even the 6 scales. He makes a really nice steering rack, and he corrected the geometry on here, so you get much better steering. It's way beefier than any of the other ones I've seen, so highly recommend that. So we're going to be swapping this out to the dual shock setup on here. So this should be really cool. I'll be able to get a secondary damper on here. I'll probably run these standard, the standard way, and then mount the secondary inverted so I can get a little bit of that same suspension action. Okay, so moving on to these C-hubs and knuckles. Very nice design. Uses an M5 kingpin. Threads in from the top, nice and beefy. Comes with nice rubber sealed bearings and stainless hardware. And moving on to the lower control arms here, you can see the differences. This uses a really heavy duty hinge pin that's held in place just with 2 little set screws there. Of course, dual shock mount. This uses more like the standard pin style screw that threads in 1 from each end. So ultimately, definitely a stronger design. Yeah, ultimately, this is definitely a lot beefier when you look at the difference. I like how this is slightly ramped here too. It just seems like it's gonna help it kind of get over rocks a bit easier. So compared to stock, the size of the bearing there, size of the bearing there. Let's hold them side by side. So definitely much larger bearings in your knuckles. That's gonna help quite a bit. On the E-Viratrue, you do have two spots where you can mount your upper camber link here. The position that matches up with the stock one is the lower one, so I don't want to fool around with any geometry right now. Maybe somewhere down the road I'll experiment, but I'm just going to run it in the stock position. And then same deal down here. Well, these also have 3 positions, so I'm going to see how these line up, but I'm going to keep everything kind of... Another tip for you guys, something you might want to pay attention to and just adjust as needed. I'm running a different bell crank, the E-Viratrue bell crank, which has different positions here, so this might vary from your setup, but what I found was if you run a spacer under your toe link here on your knuckle, you can really eliminate most of the bump steer on this truck. And bump steer, of course, is as your suspension cycles up and down. Depending on this link position, you might get a little bit of steering action, which is not really ideal because that means as your suspension compresses, the truck's gonna want to turn a little bit one direction or the other. So just pay attention to that. If you can get this link to be as parallel as possible with your control arm there, you're probably in good shape, but just experiment a little bit and see what it does. Add a little spacer, maybe add a bigger spacer, no spacer, and just see as you cycle up and down, you don't want your knuckle to be turning at all. So that's just a tip. Doing some setup on this front end, getting your camber right and getting your bump steer eliminated makes a huge difference on how well this truck steers. Out of the box, this thing is a hot mess. It steers like crap. The bell crank doesn't really work all that great. The lower arms are so flexible on this truck. You don't have a chance of keeping this truck in a straight line out of the box. All this stuff makes a huge difference. So just pay attention to the little setup details and you should be a lot better off. Okay, dual shock mount all buttoned up here. Give you guys a little peek. Came out very nice. So this is the way this mounts. It mounts onto the rear side of the shock tower, and these shock mounts face up. There is another cross section of this that these screws from the front go also thread into this new shock tower here. So it really does add a lot of strength to this original plastic shock tower. So that I'm really happy about. And everything mounted up nice. So these again are the stock shocks. So these are the stock shocks that went back to those for now. And these are just some 100 mil RC Lions off of Amazon. And they actually feel really nice. This whole system feels really nice. So, all right, so here we have the finished product. Didn't put the wheels on yet, wanted to show you guys the shiny bits. Again, just running the UDR front unsprung damper. And if I remember right, I did the Traxxas variable damping kit in those shocks. So I have faster rebound than I do compression. I gotta get the drive shaft back on. Can't forget that. This is a Vidavon sway bar, if you guys are wondering. E-Viratrue does not make one as far as I know. Oh, let me show you guys this, very important. Yeah, so this is super important, guys. If you're gonna run aluminum front arms, especially with aluminum C-hubs and aluminum knuckles, you're not gonna have any give when you smack this thing into rocks or roots or a tree or whatever. It will absolutely tweak the chassis up here because this is a very narrow point where the entire front end mounts. So pick up one of these braces. This is by AW Machining. He is, it's an American-made, American company, made in the USA. Really good price on these things. I want to say they were like maybe 30 bucks. Super heavy duty, 7075 aluminum. It really adds a ton of strength to the front of this. Even if you're running plastic arms, if you don't want to go through the hassle of having to replace this entire chassis, which is a pain in the neck, and I want to say they're probably like 60 bucks, pick up one of these and you're going to thank me. because this really adds a ton of strength. And you can see the amount of hits this thing has taken. These arms are not gonna look as pretty for long, but definitely pick one of these up. And this will fit on the Razor Ray and the Baja Ray too, I believe. I gotta double check, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it fits all of the Ray platforms. There we go, all buttoned up, ready to rip. Need to replace these lights. I'm gonna order up some Mias Racing little pod lights for here, and these things are falling apart. Broke my front light up here, broke my grill again, so yeah, needs a little bit of attention. But it's feeling nice. Yeah, can't wait to get out and rip this thing.